Welcome back, everybody, to this week's edition of the PGA DFS Pick Show. I am your host, John McNutt. You can find me on socials at JohnCole19. Here for Fantasy Sports Insight, talking at DraftKings, PGA Golf. This week is the Wells Fargo Championship. Super excited to jump in. As always, a shout out to Fantasy National Golf Club. They power all the stats that you'll hear on this show. Best stat engine out there. Love to make models over on their site. So certainly give them a look, check them out. And let's just jump right in this week. The Wells Fargo Championship played at Quail Hollow Club. This course has hosted this event quite a bit over the last chunk of years, but specifically last year, they did not play here due to the President's Cup that was played here in the fall season. Instead, they switched courses last year. Also, there were some major renovations after the 2016. So if you're looking at course history, you kind of need to hone it in on just a couple years that they've played here, including one major. So be careful on your course history. But the course itself, very, very long, 7,500-yard course. It's a par 71. It's listed as Bermuda grass greens, but as we have seen all spring long, Bermuda often means those POA travails. So certainly looking at some putting from some recent courses, such as Sawgrass or Waste Management, a couple events that had the same grass type. As far as key stats this week, we are looking at approach and total driving as my top two stats. Approach, very important as always, specifically that 200 plus yard range. Lots and lots of long iron shots coming into the greens this week. And I put total driving on there. It's both important to be long off the tee as well as to be accurate. The rough isn't super penal here, but there certainly is trouble to get in if you're not in the right area. Driving distance helps out a ton. These very, very long holes, there's quite a few that are over 450 to 500 yards. There is at least 6 this week, plus a couple that are going to be even longer than that. We're talking par 4s. There are only 3 par 5s this week. But again, those are long holes as well. We're looking at a lot of long approach shots this week. Any golfer who can get a bit extra distance off the tee has an advantage, being able to drop their ball in a little bit different angle versus having to just hit everything out of the club here at that 200 plus mark. Bogey avoidance as well. This is a very, very difficult course. We probably will see the winner come in single digits under par this week. Although the weather conditions look very, very nice as of the outlook right now. Certainly, though, this is a difficult course. Bogey avoidance absolutely needs to be in your model. Maybe even more specific, avoiding bogeys on difficult scoring courses. Being able to look at guys that really just are avoiding big numbers. Making par is excellent on this course on a whole bunch of the holes. If you can make a few birdies on the par 5s and par the rest of the way, you are going to do very, very well this week. I'm also looking at course history quite a bit. If you year in and year out, a lot of the golfers that finish on the leaderboard are there. Rory McIlroy comes to mind as a guy who has played this course over and over, played it very, very well. Looking at him in the pricing, he is the most expensive golfer. Best odds to win, certainly for a reason. He's got that course history here. So pay attention to that as well this week. And then last thing that I'm putting into my modeling is around the greens. We'll see a ton of missed greens this week. Being able to get up and down for par is going to be essential for golfers to find their way up the leaderboard this week. So certainly include that as well. That's about it as far as my breakdown on the course and key stats. Jumping right into my favorite plays on DraftKings, starting with Max Homa. He is 9,400 on DraftKings. He's 28 to 1 outright to win. I've seen a ton of people on Twitter that are already have tickets for Max Homa. I think he's an excellent bet at that 28 to 1. Very, very good option on DraftKings as well at the 9,400. His form is very good right now. He's only missed 1 cut in his last 11 cut events. In that time, he has 2 wins and a runner-up as well. The course history, very good also. He was a winner on this track in 2019. He did miss the cut in 2021. I'm not as concerned with that as the fact that he has previously won on this course. He won this event last year as well. Again, that was on a different course. So don't really worry about that too much, but certainly it goes to show that just his overall good form over the last year, Max Homa, won this event last year and then also in 2019. He gains strokes off the tee, on approach, around the greens, and putting. Not a ton of golfers in the field can say that, but he's also been gaining strokes in all of the categories over the last 5 rounds, last 10 and last 20 rounds. Super consistent golfer is Max Homa. I like him a ton. He is excellent on those long approach shots from 200 plus. He's not the longest driver, so I expect him to have a bunch of those approach shots from 200 plus. And absolutely, he is very, very good at that. He's a very good scrambler. He rates out really well in this field and scrambling. And then he, as far as distance goes, he's not awful. He is above average, but not excellent. And he is above average drive accuracy as well. So a lot to like here for Max Homa. I think you could absolutely start your lineups cash or GPPs with him. But let's talk about this next guy. He is probably my very favorite so far looking at him this week. That is Viktor Hovland. He's a couple hundred cheaper on DraftKings at 9,200. If you look at the betting market, he has been bet down. He's now at 18-1 outright to win. So cheaper on DraftKings, but better odds to win is Viktor Hovland versus Max Homa. I think both of them are great options going to start your lineup, maybe even playing both. Although they both will be very popular, Viktor Hovland absolutely should be considered and maybe even as a cash lock for me. As far as the form goes on Viktor Hovland, he has a top 10 in 3 out of his last 4 events. That includes the Arnold Palmer, the Players, and the Masters. He's playing very well in very difficult events. I should say in very difficult field events. Looking at those odds, I mentioned he's kind of been bet down. He's now the 5th best odds to win this event. He is the 9th highest price. I think that's an excellent value. Again, great option to start your cash lineups there is Viktor Hovland. His course history, he's only played the event 1 time. He was 3rd here at the 2021 Wells Fargo. So excellent course history as far as the minimal amount of information that we have. He played here very, very well that 1 time. He also ranks top 10 on difficult courses, ranks top 10 on long courses. And the irons for him are insanely hot. What we all know about Viktor Hovland is he is an elite ball striker, comes in with the excellent irons, just needs to kind of clean up a little bit around the greens and as well as putting. And Viktor Hovland, I think he puts it all together this week and has an excellent finish, top 5, if not a win for Viktor. So those are my favorite plays this week. Let's jump into some values here and some pivot options to kind of get you off of the highest owned golfers. Starting with Keegan Bradley here, he's 7,700 on DraftKings, 65-1 outright to win. I don't think Keegan wins this week, but if you wanted to throw down a top 10 or even a top 20 on him, I certainly see the appeal there. His form, he's made 7 out of his last 10 cuts. If you look back, he won at the Zozo in October. He also has 2 top 10 finishes already here in 2023, so the form's good. Course history since those renovations that I mentioned, he's made 2 out of 3 cuts. He finished 18th back in 2021. He also ranks top 15 on both long courses and on difficult scoring courses as well. I really weighted those into my modeling quite a bit this week. So I think it's a good fit here for Keegan Bradley. He doesn't jump off the page in any of the off the tee numbers, but I think he kind of makes up for it in a well-rounded game, has played well on this course. And just, again, a good course fit here for me when it comes to Keegan Bradley. So now jumping into, just one more value, not shown on this slide, but that is Sam Stevens. Guy been playing a ton over the last month or 2. He's been playing really, really well. He's 250-1 outright. I don't think Sam Stevens wins this week, but look at him as a top 20 bet. He is excellent on long courses. The irons are absolutely hot, and in it, he's a long driver. So look at Sam Stevens. He is gaining, I think, a little steam on DraftKings, but certainly still worth a look in your lineups there. Jumping over to some low-owned pivots, starting with Matthew Fitzpatrick on the high end. He is at 9,300 on DraftKings. If you look at everybody priced 8,700 and above, he's the lowest projected ownership. You absolutely are going to get leverage on the field playing Matthew Fitzpatrick this week. He obviously won his last event at the RBC Heritage, coming in great form. What we know about Fitzpatrick, he has an excellent short game. He plays really well on long courses. He plays really well on hard courses. And he's also a very good scrambler. So kind of checking all of those boxes for me, especially the low ownership like that a ton. Last guy to mention here, that is Brendan Todd. Not a guy that I play a ton and not somebody you think of as being long off the tee, but what he makes up for in the length, he makes up for it with his accuracy. He is excellent off the tee when it comes to drive accuracy. His ownership is going to be something like 2% or so in this field. That's like a third of guys around him: Steven Yeager, Joel Damon, and Kurt Kitayama. Brendan Todd is just as good, if not a better golfer than some of those guys. At a third of the ownership, I think you absolutely have to consider it. He has a great short game, again, the accurate driver, and he is top 10 in this field, avoiding bogeys on difficult courses. I mentioned that as a stat to kind of look at. He's very good at that. So Brendan Todd, a guy that can make your lineup different at 7,200, very, very low owned this week. All right, last slide to mention, and that is the one and done contest. I had another bad week last week. Wyndham Clark absolutely let me down. Looked like he was set up for a very good week, but missed the cut, drops me in the standings a couple hundred places. I'm still just outside the money. A good week this week will bump me right back into the winnings. Victor Hovland, I'm going with him. Everything I said before, I think he is an excellent option for an outright bet. I think he's a great option for one and done. I think he's excellent in your cash lineups on DraftKings. Even consider him in GPPs, although the ownership is going to get up there. I absolutely understand why. If you can make your lineup different elsewhere, Victor Hovland gives you that win equity, I think, here this week in an elevated event, bigger prize pools. Got to pick a top five guy this week, in my opinion. Really, really tough if you miss out this week on the dollars for one and done contests. So that is going to do it for this week's show. Certainly appreciate you watching. Check out our website, fsidfs.com. You can join our Discord from there. You can also find that through our Twitter handle at FSI_DFS. In the Discord, we will chat weather as well as ownership projections, and then all our core plays are posted there as well. So if you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to leave them here on YouTube. I really appreciate you watching, and good luck this week.